name is Debbie Kong and I am a drug and alcohol counselor, and we're going to talk about hula hoops in this video and how to stay in them. In the first video, we talked about how we have a tendency to not stay in our own hula hoops and why. In this video, we're going to talk about how to stay in our own hula hoop. This is incredibly hard to do, but so worth it when we get the hang of it. Stick around for part 3 because I'll talk about how to communicate with others while staying in our own hula hoop and respecting theirs. In the first video, we introduced the concepts of how there can be a lot of bricks in our own hula hoop that have been accumulating for some time. And what happens is it becomes so crowded that we get overwhelmed and don't know how to address the things that have been getting stale and yucky. Just like what happens when we ignore the kitchen sink full of dirty dishes. We want to avoid it even more. The solution, though, is to actually go and clean it, little by little, addressing the reasons why we are wanting to run away from our hula hoop. What is stinky? What can be thrown away? And what can be cleaned up? Some of the things in our hula hoop weren't ours to begin with, but for some reason we tend to own it. For example, Susie's mom may have experienced trauma in her past, which led to Susie's mom not having the bandwidth to know how to parent constructively, which trickled down into Susie's experiences of never feeling good enough. That stuff wasn't Susie's doing and never belonged in her hula hoop to begin with. So going into Susie's hula hoop and recognizing that her mom did the best that she could, removing those messages that don't belong there is where Susie can begin her journey to start to let go of those messages. So what's Susie supposed to do? Well, in recovery, we use the 12 steps to help us with this process. Why? Well, the 12 steps are simply an outline for an individual to get to know their hula hoop and how to stay in it. The first step being admitting we're powerless over fill in the blank. For my example, I'm going to say others and that our lives have become unmanageable. Recognizing that my tendency to jump into others' business, wanting them to change, when in reality it's because I'm trying to avoid how I feel about the situation by whatever behaviors fit the situation. The second step is the hardest step in my opinion. Truly believing in a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity. This step involves truly believing, which involves faith. Without faith, I will continue to try to make what I want happen, which takes me back into my destructive behavior with a stinking, rotting hula hoop. Higher power does not have to be the God that you grew up with. It genuinely just means a power greater than myself. This is why people go to meetings, because for some, the ability to relate to others is a power greater than isolation. Whatever anyone believes in is entirely up to them to explore. But when someone can hear me and understand my story, it helps and feels bigger than me. So I'm going to trust and have faith that the connection I make in the rooms of whatever program I'm in is greater than myself. The third step is made a decision to turn my will and life over to the care of God or higher power, as we understood God or higher power. This is the tricky part for most people. How do I turn my will over to this newfound higher power? Well, the way I like to see it is this step is simply just knowing when to ask for real help. Not for others to fix you or to take care of your problems, but making the decision to call out to a higher power or pray or meditate. The fourth step is made a fearless and searching moral inventory. This is where in my hula hoop I can examine all that has been sitting there and taking inventory. My hurts, my pains, my trauma, my fears. What has happened to me that I keep trying to forget, but it keeps haunting me? Who has wronged me, and how has that impacted my behaviors? The reasons why I may be so defensive, the reasons why I try to control, the people I have hurt along the way and feel guilty or remorse about. All these things I'm making an inventory for so that I know what's been actually rotting in my hula hoop. All the bricks, taking account of them. Once I start to organize all of that, I can see what I'm working with. Step 5 is where I believe some of the magic happens. This is admitting to God, ourselves, and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. When I do this, I am dusting some things off and begin to recognize that some of these things aren't as scary as I thought they were. What I thought was a big monster of a brick was actually just a simple brick. This process has a lot to do with shedding some of the internal shame that we tend to carry. And when telling someone else some of our issues, aka some of our bricks, it takes away the shame that we carry with them. Step 6 is we were entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. which has to do with the previous step of releasing the negative behaviors and choosing to trust that it's okay to learn new behaviors, accepting progress, not perfection, really choosing improvement rather than perfection, is very humbling. Step 7 states, humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. This step indicates humility. Some of us, in our attempt to not feel insecure, become fixers, control freaks, egotistical, or arrogant. No one likes these words, but when we can identify our behaviors and our true shortcomings and be honest with ourselves, we can ask our higher power for help in staying humble, which means stay in our own hula hoop and allow ourselves to sit in our discomfort and try new ways of dealing with our discomfort. Whether it be breathing exercises, meditation, walks, journaling, whatever can help you actually be okay with yourself. Step 8 is made a list of all persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. This is different from a step 4 in that now I'm taking accountability for my actions. I am making the change within myself. It says became willing to make amends, and this is not the amends process. That comes later. In this step, I'm making a list which helps me examine my behaviors and address the guilt that I still carry for those behaviors. This helps me organize who it is that I am and who I am trying to become. This helps me get to know what is in my hula hoop and how to get comfy in my own hula hoop. I'll continue to run away from my hula hoop if I'm not comfortable in it. So let's try and make it cozy by knowing the space I'm working with. Step 9. Make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure self or others. This step is designed to be an opportunity for growth and healing, as well as a gesture of goodwill. This step helps the person who is struggling learn how to face fears, shed guilt, and communicate in a healthy fashion, which is a change from previous behaviors of avoidance. It's important to acknowledge the part that says, except when to do so would injure self or others, because not everything can be fixed with an apology. Some behaviors may have been extra toxic and could cause harm. If this is the case, then the practice of letting go and acceptance of what one can versus cannot control is put into practice. Step 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. This step is a daily practice of being able to differentiate what is in my hula hoop and what is not in my hula hoop, by asking myself what my business is and what is none of my business. Owning our actions is important, and if we were wrong by doing something that was harmful to others, then admitting what our wrong was. But if someone is upset with us and we did nothing wrong, it is none of our business how they feel. That's really important to remember, because sometimes we own other people's feelings mistakenly. So by staying in our hula hoop and making sure that we acknowledge what we did but don't own what we didn't do, that's key in this step. Step 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood God, praying only for knowledge of God's will for us and the power to carry that out. Once again, God is defined by whoever, whatever your higher power is, and your spiritual practice is entirely up to you. But just for the sake of explaining the steps, think of prayer as talking and meditating as listening. Truly connecting with the higher power concept is the point of this step, and in order to connect with someone on a deep level, there should be equal amounts of talking and listening. Building your relationship with your higher power is essential for staying in one's hula hoop, because it is with the help of a higher power that keeps the hula hoop maintained, aka helping you keep your dishes clean and your kitchen sink shiny. Step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. This step is designed to reinforce all that one has learned through the process of the first 11 steps, by sharing what you've learned with others. By getting to know what's inside of my hula hoop, trusting that I have a higher power that can help me with my bricks and organize all of them, it helps me to learn how to get comfy in my hula hoop and want to stay in it. Once I get to know myself and learn how to love myself, I start to respect myself and want to protect myself from all the negative energies that may come from others, setting healthy boundaries and respecting the boundaries of others. If you liked this video and would like to see part 3, how do I communicate with others while staying in my own hula hoop, please click the subscribe button and we'll see you next time. Feel free to give me a call at my desk or email me at debbie@ranchrecovery.org, and we will try and get you the help that you need as a family or as a person that needs recovery from drugs and alcohol. Take care.